If visions of dancing sugar plums aren't your thing, perhaps our next author will be able to tickle your holiday fancy. She's making a list, checking it twice, and definitely knows who has been naughty or worse. Here to read from her newest book, Whips, Chains, and Candy Canes, please welcome Krampus.
Oh my, hello bitches. It's the most wonderful time of the year, right? Yes. Oh, December is upon us, y'all, and that means frigid temperatures, blazing fires, and sniveling children. It's also your dear Krampus's busiest season, y'all. Now, sure, I stay real busy the rest of the year in haunted houses, hiding out under beds and closets, things like that, but after Thanksgiving, my services really become in demand with all the bad boys and girls out there. Now, don't you worry. Krampus would never lay a hoof on a child. The Department of Child Services sees to that. It turns out that a demon goat creature threatening to eat children who don't behave can cause permanent psychological damage. Excuse me, I'm losing my fur. And that I shouldn't be unsupervised around children under the age of 12. Plus, that little shit, the elf on the shelf, is taking most of my work. So your dear Krampus had to expand her services, you guys. So now I'm a for-hire dominatrix, right? Okay? Oh, yes, yes. For a nominal fee, I will make your deepest, darkest Christmas fantasies come to life, all while respecting your predetermined hard limits, of course. It was a natural transition for me. I already had the chains and cages at home, so no big deal. And my services are really most popular with high-profile celebrities and politicians, you guys. Do you want to hear some of my more salacious tales? Yeah? Yeah? You guys want to hear something? Well, strap in and strap on, babies. Let's go to town. Oh, got some stories for you. All names have been changed to protect my clients. All right, chapter 4. He lay in bed, straining futilely against the curling ribbon, tying his wrists and ankles to the bedposts. He wore nothing but a pair of Christmas novelty boxer shorts. The room was dark, lit only by a crackling fire and cinnamon and spruce-scented candles. The faint tinkling of a Burl Ives record played softly in the background. "Have you been a good boy this year?" I asked, already knowing the answer. "Yes, ma'am," his voice quivered meekly. I cocked my horns. "Have you really?" I replied. "I've heard very differently." His eyes darted nervously back and forth. "I heard that you unwrapped that little candy cane you've got there in front of a bunch of very nice ladies without asking first. Is that true?" He looked away sheepishly. "Yes," he whispered. "I'm sorry, what was that?" "Yes," he repeated. "And why would you do such a thing, Huey G.J.?" "I don't know, ma'am," he mumbled quietly. "What was that, dear?" I cooed. "I don't know, ma'am." "You don't know? Well, that's not a very good answer." He bit his lip nervously. "Now, why would anyone want to see that pathetic little Yule log you've got there?" I don't know, he repeated. That's a shame, because you know what I do to bad boys like you, don't you? I teach naughty boys like you a lesson in respect. I walked to the mantel and grabbed a cinnamon candle and approached the bed. I slowly tipped the fragrant candle to the side as 3 large drops of hot wax fell on his chest. He screamed as the wax hardened on his weird nest of red dad chest hair. I cackled with glee. The night was just beginning. You guys want to hear what happens next? You guys want to hear what happens next? Fuck you, buy my book. So, chapter 7. He had been a very naughty boy, and we both knew it. I had instructed him to stand in the corner and think about how bad he had been until I was ready to start his punishment. I sat behind him in an overstuffed armchair, sucking the end of a candy cane and watching How the Grinch Stole Christmas. After 20 minutes or so, I clicked the TV off and removed the candy cane from my mouth, which had now been sharpened to an ominous point. Come over here, Troy Poor, Judge Troy Poor, I said sternly. He scampered out of the corner and fell to his knees at my hooves. You have misbehaved terribly. You spent many years stuffing the stockings of children, some of them less than half your age. And now you think you're fit to serve in public office? What do you have to say for yourself, Judge Troy Poor? His nipples hardened as I poked him roughly in the chest with a pointed candy stick. I'm sorry, mistress, he sniveled. I'll be the judge of that! Go get your stocking from the mantel. He scrambled to his feet and pulled down the stocking labeled Naughty Boy and handed it to me. Why, what have we here? I inquired, pulling out the contents. Why, it's a fine pile of switches and a giant lump of coal. Whatever shall we do with these? I don't know, mistress, he croaked. Why, I know exactly what to do with these. Climb up over my lap, dear. The 2 ornaments hanging betwixt Troy's legs shriveled in fear as he scrambled over the arm of my chair and laid face down across my lap. I pulled his pants down and exposed his pasty behind. It wouldn't be so pale for long. I took the lump of coal betwixt my hoof, feeling Troy tense beneath me. Just relax, dear, I said. It'll be so much jollier if you just relax. I cackled and in one swift motion shoved it deep into his chimney. He howled with a mix of exquisite pleasure and pain. I quickly grabbed a switch and began swatting his backside, which soon resembled a peppermint stick. He was in for a long night. Do you guys want to know what happens next? Oh, yes. Fuck you, buy my book! Don't get this for free. I don't give it away. All right. Read one more excerpt for you since you've been so very, very good tonight. Chapter 13. Well, 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 I sighed. What have we here? I calmly took a sip of eggnog from my moose-shaped novelty glass and looked down at the pathetic specimen lying at my hooves. He was naked on the cold concrete floor of his basement, bound by a string of twinkle lights. He had a clementine shoved deep into his mouth, effectively silencing him. Outside, a heavy snowfall blanketed the ground. Pat Tower. Former Today Show host Pat Tower. I hear that you have been a very naughty boy. Did I read that you installed a button at your desk to lock women in your office without their knowledge? How did that get past the maintenance request at NBC? Tisk, tisk, tisk. He mumbled around the clementine. Shh. I brushed his forehead with my hoof. Save your strength, dear. He laid back, dejected and shivering. You seem cold, Pat Tower. Would you like to borrow my scarf? He looked up wistfully as I removed the cozy scarf from around my neck and teased his face gently with the fringe. I removed the clementine from his mouth and then draped the scarf across his face, covering his mouth, nose, and eyes. "Oh my," I said, "I didn't even offer you any of this delicious eggnog. How rude of me." I tipped my novelty mousse glass and a splash of liquid fell onto his scarf-covered face. He writhed in panic as he struggled futilely to breathe. There is nothing better than an eggnog waterboarding, you all, I'm telling you. I ripped the scarf from his face as he coughed and sputtered. It was beginning to look a lot like Christmas.